Hey guys, what's going on, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are over at Josh's house and we're going to be working on his LS swap Camaro. If you guys know, in the past he's been on the channel, we did some headlights in his Chevelle. We're going to be partnering with Evil Energy. They're going to outfit his Chevelle with some E85 fuel line. We got a fuel pump or a fuel filter. We have a mount for that fuel filter. We've got a reservoir for the trans cooler. We have a catch can, and then also we have an E85 kit right here. So we're going to go through there, get this stuff unboxed, and start outfitting his car with the proper fuel line. That way, if he so desires, he can run the E85. Josh, you want to say a little bit about the car, what you've done so far?
I've done a lot to the car. There's not much that's not original as to what I bought other than the shell. It's got a Aeromotive fuel tank, Detroit leaf springs. The rear end's been converted to a full floater from Miller Built. The LS is a 4.8 out of a truck, cold case radiator. So it should be a nice little car when we get it going, getting done.
One thing about Evil Energy's fuel line is, instead of running a rubber center, they run a hard plastic. So this is just a little bit different AN fitting than what we're used to. Him and I have never really done these before. We did a test one. It wasn't just too bad, but we're going to be kind of flying blind as far as building this new E85 fuel line. So what this kit consists of is 26 foot. You can get this in different lengths, whatever fits your purposes the best. This is a 26 foot kit, and then this comes with a multitude of fittings along with a tool for your line connectors. You have some straights, you got some 90s, you got some 180s, and then after you cut it, depending upon what you cut your line with, it does come with a little tool to stick in there to make sure that you're perfectly round. Because these run, this E85 runs a ferrule inside the fitting that you put on that plastic line. So you pull back just a little bit of the nylon and a little bit of the stainless on there, you slide that on there, and then you have this piece that goes inside, and then you screw everything together. So it's a little bit different than the traditional AN fittings. It actually, the one test one that we did, is just a little bit easier than standard traditional AN fittings, where you have to put this on the rubber fit or your rubber nylon line first. Evil Energy also sent a fuel filter that we're going to put right after the regulator pump in the back, and it comes with whatever fittings you so desire. This is the bracket for the fuel filter. So we're going to be mounting that back by the tank, and then this will slide in there, and it does have an arrow on there so you guys know which way to mount it. For the trans cooler, we also have Evil Energy. This is their 16 row. It comes with -8 and -6, or if you want to run big lines, you can use the standard -10 that is on there. It's got mounting brackets on each side. You can mount this with some brackets, or you can use the push pins, whatever you so choose. There is plenty of room through the fins to be able to mount that directly to the radiator if you want to do it that way. And then he does run a catch can on his cars. He has one on the Chevelle, and he has one, he's going to be putting one on the Camaro as well. So they also hooked us up with a -10 catch can, and it's an in and an out, and it does have atmospheric vent on top. So all this stuff on the table, hopefully today, depending upon time restraints, is going to be going on the car. So let's get started. We can start building some lines for the back of the car, starting at the back of the tank and running forward for the fuel system. And then after that, we'll start moving our attention, or turn our attention to probably either the catch can or the transmission cooler, whatever we need to do. All right, at the risk of looking like an idiot, we did build one of the fuel feed or return. They're both the same. They're going to run a 90 and a 45, so this can either be a feed or a return from the tank to the regulator pump. So we need to build another one just like this, and then we need a short little one to go from the regulator to the filter, and then we're gonna need to do another 45 on there and go from the bottom of the filter on up to the fuel rail. So like I said, we have this one built off camera, at the risk of looking like an idiot, like I said, but it doesn't go together just too bad. I don't know if I would say these are any easier or harder than standard AM. I thought I had one laying here, but I don't. But coming apart is another thing. So on standard AM fittings, you can take those apart and reuse them. What I'm finding with, so we had this one on there that we built the other day, and we took it apart just so we could see as far as reusing these ferrules. So that really crushes that on that PVC line pretty good, and I did damage the edge of it pulling it off with a pair of needle nose pliers. So I did find that Evil Energy and other companies makes ferrules because this portion of the fitting is 100% reusable, but I don't think I would suggest reusing the ferrule. You can if you want to, at the risk of having a leak. For the money, I would probably just buy some new aluminum ferrules. So right now, I'm gonna go ahead and get this next section cut to build this line right here, and we'll get ready to go. We are cutting it with a die grinder. It's just the best way that we found to cut it. There is stainless steel braid underneath the nylon, and then you got your PVC core for the E85 compliant. So we'll go ahead and cut this off, and then get a 90 and a 45 on that hose. So like I said, we'll go ahead and cut this. Grab that in, Josh. So with the tape on there, what that allows you to do is keep that nylon nice and square and straight. One thing I would like to point out too, you need to make sure and cut this as square as possible because that ferrule is going to bottom out on the PVC core. So make sure and cut that off good and square. So after we got it cut, we can go ahead and peel our tape off. Take a screwdriver, start running around the inside, and separate that PVC and that inner nylon or inner stainless. Use your tool, make sure that's good and round. Depending upon how long your hose is, you'll make sure and put this fitting on. You take your ferrule, start pushing it on the plastic. I'm using a dead blow hammer to get it seated. You can do it that way, or you can push on the table. It's however it works best for you. After you got your ferrule seated on the plastic inside there, I'm gonna run that on there one more time. Just make sure it's good and round before putting a fitting in. Take you just a little bit of lube before you insert it. Put that on there like that. Then run up there and get that fitting started, and then I'm gonna put it in this tool here. And then tighten that fitting up until it meets the collar, just like a standard AN fitting. So we'll go ahead and do this other end, and then we'll have both the feed and the return built, and then we got to cut a little 3" section for the regulator to filter.
Over the edge, feel like I'm floating through the air. The pain I felt is paid for, all is said and done. Oh, I am restricted, fixed upon the web. I need to kick the habit that my
right, so now we got the first 3 lines built. It is a little bit time consuming, like I said, so we're going to get under the car, get these 3 lines on, and then we'll show you the finished product there. We do have one more fitting to build coming from the bottom of the filter on up to the rail of the car. Alright, you can see the lines we built right there. We got a feed and a return coming out of the tank. This tank here does have an intake pump, so that's why we're not running an Evil Energy pump. So we're running in. We have going up to the feed and return of the regulator, and then coming down to out of there, the filter, coming out of the filter, and then we're going to run along the frame rail. That's his feed line, or that's his power line for the intake pump. We're going to run those together. Have not stripped out the old fuel line yet. For right now, because of time restraints, he wants to get this car going for an event. He does road race. So we're just going to go ahead and zip tie to the old fuel line, and later on he'll go through and strip all this old fuel line out. May run this through the frame rail, may just do some fittings or some up against the frame rail. However it works, you can see, might just run those right there all the way up through. So now we can just go ahead and run that up to the fuel rail, and then that should be good as far as the fuel line. So next I think we're going to turn our attention to and get either the catch can done or the transmission cooler. Alright, for the first time we'll give you a quick glimpse of the car too. I guess I should have thought about that in the beginning, but like he said, he's got the 4.8, right?
4.8.
4.8 truck engine in there. It's fitting pretty nice. Right now we're going to get the transcooler mounted. Gonna go ahead and use the push pins for right now. Like I said, because of time restraints, don't have time really to pull the nose of the car off and build the brackets right. He does have some Evil Energy trans lines right there, ran up there already. We did get the fuel line ran up and hooked to the back of the rail, so that's all buttoned up. Beforehand, it would be a good idea to, and he's going to do that. That's just on there loose. All of his fuel fittings are loose, but before he tightens that fitting up right there, gonna purge the system and run all the contaminants that might be in the hose just into a cup right here. You know, as he holds that, he'll fire up the pump and run that for just a few minutes. It's going to catch everything pre-filter, but post-filter, anything that might be in that line, blow it out. So anyway, we're going to, like I said, mount the transcooler. We have that out on the bench. That comes, it's -10, and then we'll use reducers on it wherever they may be, and then he's just going to run some push fittings through the radiator to tie this in. Alright, Josh just got these reducers put on there. That's just a -10 to -6 reducer. This kit comes with, you can run it either a 10, a 6, or an 8. It's over here in a box. Whatever lines you have built, just use the corresponding reducer. I wouldn't go any smaller than a 6 for a trans line. Just 4s would be way too small. 8s might be a little bit big. Your flow might be too much. Not 8s, I'm sorry, 10s. The flow will probably be a little bit big or a little bit too much. It wouldn't have enough time to slow down the flow and keep it in this cooler long enough to cool it down. So 10s might be a little bit on the big side. 6s I think will be just right. So we're gonna go ahead and get this put in place at the corresponding height that we need it. And then he'll run these push tabs through there. And then it gets this little locking tab on the other side. And then if it's too long, you either cut it off, break it off, however you so choose to do so. We were having an issue trying to get these pushed through both the radiator and the cooler. So what we did was we marked everything and then took it and one of them over to the cooler and pushed it in that way. And then we have them set in place. We got the pads in place so there's no vibration. And then you got these little lock tabs that go on there. And that holds everything in place. And then we can go ahead and pull the trans lines and get that hooked up then. All right, so we got the cooler mounted kind of where we want it. We're going to run a 90 going in on that side and a 90 going in on that side, so the lines come up and hopefully go in them. These are a standard AN fitting, other than the PTFE or the E85 compliant from Evil Energy. These run just a little bit different. You're still going to run just a little bit of lube on there as you're running it in. But we cannot get these lines out of the car because of where the trans is at in the tunnel, so we're having to build these on the car. So yeah, it's kind of a pain in the butt to say the least. So with the traditional AN, you screw it on there just like what he's doing there, and then you screw your fitting in till you're flush with the surface. You got a long way to go. You're welcome. Alright, with limited access and sight, I wanted to show you what we come up with as far as the transmission cooler. So he had the Evil Energy lines like I showed you just a minute ago in a standard AN fitting. We ran 90s on both sides and just came up through. Actually, everything sits really nice. Got a nice loop on the lines. They're not tight. Just got to put the top support on, get his fans put back in place, and that should be good. All right, next we were going to do the catch can, but because of space under his hood versus space like under my hood, this catch can is just going to be a little bit big for him. So I'm actually going to take this home and put it on my truck because we're having some issues with some slobbering as far as my vent. I need a catch can. So this is going to go on my truck, and he's going to grab something different to put on his truck. Just, there is really no place for the size of this catch can with some dash 10 to be able to mount it. I guess on the driver's side over here, there's just really no place to put it for as far as an LS routing, because you got your front and then you got your PCV in the back there. You would have to run a lot of lines because this is really the only place to put a dash 10 catch can and run everything. So he has the LS swap Chevelle as well, and he ran just a smaller catch can right here by the booster, and he said he's just going to do that instead. So we're going to take this home and we're going to put it on my truck and try and take care of my oil puking issue. So this will be coming at a later date, and I actually like the petcock drain on the bottom. I've got an idea for this too, so I won't ever have to empty it. So I guess with that being said, we're pretty much done. We did get all the fuel lines ran from the tank as far as return feed. We got the filter run from Evil Energy, and we now have the radiator, or the transcooler mounted on the radiator. So there's another look at the car. Pretty straight car for the most part. There is some spots on it. I mean, we live in Ohio. It's too expected. So he's getting his car ready to go as far as doing some road racing with it, like his Chevelle. And yeah, like I said, he's in a time crunch because there's an event he wants to get this car to. So tried to do as much as we could today. Huge shout out to Evil Energy. We do appreciate it very much. There's Josh in the background right there. If you want to follow him on Instagram, he is Havoc Factory. So we'll put it right here. His Instagram, you can head over there. He posts all the time, and a lot of times he'll post stuff to the story. He will be posting a lot of this stuff to his Instagram and tagging Evil Energy in it. So if you guys want to check out Evil Energy, their information is in the description, and also they have an Amazon store. A lot of the stuff, the Evil Energy fittings that he has picked up thus far, he's just went to Amazon to their store and purchased them. So I guess with that being said, if you guys don't mind, hit that like button, give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already done so, and we'll see you guys in the next one.